The ceramic mug slipped from Sophia Starling's fingers. It made a big noise when it hit the kitchen counter. It was lucky that the ceramic mug did not break. Sophia Starling's stepmother, Patricia, was standing in the doorway. She had her arms crossed. She looked really upset. Her face was as hard as a rock. It did not show any feelings, all just like the ceramic mug that Sophia Starling was holding, the ceramic mug that had slipped from her fingers and hit the kitchen counter. Are going to marry him, Sophia. There's no point in talking about this. Sophia held onto the counter tight. Her knuckles were white. She was 26 years old. She had made a simple life for herself. Sophia taught art to kids. She lived in a small apartment in Brooklyn, and she went to see her grandmother Rose every Sunday. It was not a life, but it was Sophia's life. Now Patricia wanted Sophia to give up her life, her simple life, and Sophia did not know if she could do that. Sophia said that she does not even know this man. Her voice was very quiet. You cannot really think that Sophia should marry a man she has never met before. Sophia is supposed to marry this man. She does not even know him. Patricia reached into her handbag, pulled out a crumpled envelope. She threw it on the kitchen table. Julian Blackwood is the man they are talking about. He just got out of jail for doing something bad with money. The people in his family want to pay for her grandmother's operation. They want something in return. They want her to marry Julian Blackwood so that people will start to think he is a person again. The family of Julian Blackwood is willing to pay for her grandmother's surgery if she agrees to marry Julian Blackwood. Sophia felt the room spin. Her grandmother had been in the hospital for 2 weeks now, and Sophia was really worried about her grandmother. Her grandmother's heart condition was getting worse fast. The doctors said her grandmother needed surgery within the 72 hours or things would get even worse for her grandmother. The problem was the cost of the surgery for her grandmother. It was going to be $100,000, and Sophia did not have that kind of money for her grandmother's surgery. Sophia asked how time he was. In jail. Her voice sounded really empty. 3 years had passed. The Blackwood family's son is 29 now. He is out of jail on good behavior. Patricia's tone made it sound like she thought the whole thing was boring. The Blackwood family has a lot of money. They know a lot of people. They want someone nice to marry their son. Someone who will make people think he has changed and is trustworthy again. You need money to pay for Rose's surgery. The Blackwood family is offering you a deal. It is a trade. Their money for you marrying their son? This was not a thing. Sophia picked up the envelope with hands that were shaking. She took out a picture. The man in the picture had dark hair that was all messy, his cheeks were sunk in, and his eyes looked empty. The man in the picture looked like life had been really tough. On him, he looked like he had given up. Sophia looked at the picture of the man. She felt something. The picture of the man was very sad. Sophia was holding the picture of the man. She was trying to understand what it meant. Sophia wondered where she was supposed to meet him. She heard herself say this loud, and it sounded really simple. Where do I meet him? She thought again. Then she actually asked the question. 2 hours later, she sat in a corner booth at a diner in Manhattan, stirring her coffee for the time, without taking a sip. The seats were old, cracked, and the lights above kept going on and off. This diner was the kind of place where people went when they did not have any place to go to. She was sitting at a diner in Manhattan. It was a place people visited when they had no other choice, like this diner in Manhattan. The bell above the door rang out. Sophia looked up. She thought she would see the man from the photograph. That is not who walked in. A tall man in a nice charcoal suit came through the door instead. The man was dressed well and had a strong face. His dark hair was styled perfectly. The man from the charcoal suit moved with a lot of confidence. He seemed like the kind of person who never had to wonder if he belonged somewhere. Sophia saw the man from the charcoal suit. She kept looking at him. The man from the charcoal suit had a way about him. The man looked directly at her table. Then he started walking over to her table. Sophia's heart started beating fast. This could not be Julian Blackwood. The man in front of her looked like he had just walked out of a meeting room, not a jail cell. He looked out of place. Julian Blackwood was supposed to be a guy, but this man looked like a businessman. Sophia's mind was racing. She was trying to figure out if this was really Julian Blackwood. The man looked so different from what Sophia had imagined Julian Blackwood to be. He said, "Sophia Starling," in a voice that was really smooth. This was not what Sophia Starling had expected to hear. Sophia Starling thought his voice would be different. It was not. His deep and smooth voice did not match what people had told Sophia Starling about him. She looked at him, said, "You are Julian Blackwood." She could not hide the surprise in her voice. The man extended his hand, said, "I am here to talk to you. May I sit down in this chair?" She nodded without saying a word, still trying to figure out the man sitting in front of her, and the picture Patricia had shown her. The man sat down in the booth across from her, moving with a smoothness that came from doing it times before. She looked at his hands, saw that they were very clean, his fingernails cut short and neat. The man's hands did not look like they belonged to someone who had just gotten out of prison. Julian started to talk. "I know this is not normal," he said. His dark eyes looked at her. "I want you to know that I will take care of you. This is not the way of doing things. While we are together, you do not have to worry about anything. Your grandmother will get the doctors and the best help that she can get." Julian wanted to make sure she felt safe. He said, "You will not have to worry about your grandmother. I will make sure she is okay." Julian repeated, "I will take care of you and your grandmother will be fine. Why do people need to get married?" The question came out before Sophia could stop herself. Sophia was really wondering about marriage. Why people do it. The question just slipped out. Sophia thought about marriage, what it means to people like Sophia. Julian stopped for a second. "My family has things they want me to do. I have to do these things so I can get the money my family is leaving me. So people will think better of me again. If I get married and it works out, it shows my family that I am serious about being responsible and that I have changed. My family will see that I am ready to settle down and take care of things. A stable marriage is important to my family. It is what they want for me." He put his hand into his jacket, took out a very thick envelope. When Sophia looked inside the envelope, she found a marriage contract, a check that had her grandmother's surgery amount written on it, and a platinum ring that was not too fancy. The marriage contract and the check and the platinum ring were inside the thick envelope that he had pulled out of his jacket. Sophia saw the marriage contract and the check for her grandmother's surgery and the platinum ring. She said to him, "You had all of this prepared before you even met me." She thought, this was really strange that the person had all of this ready before they had even met her, before they had even talked to her, before they had even known what she was like. And she wanted to know why the person had done that with the meeting and the preparation and the planning. The woman looked at the person. She thought about the things that the person had prepared for her, for the meeting, and she said it again, "You had all of this prepared before you even met me. I think it is really important to be thorough." Julian watched her carefully as she looked at the documents. "There are some rules, of course," she said. "We will live together for 1 year. We will have to go to family and social events. My family will watch our relationship closely to make sure it is real. They will want to know that our relationship is genuine, that we are really a couple, so we will have to make sure we act like one." Julian and the woman he was talking to would have to make this work. They would have to make their relationship with each other seem real because Julian's family would be watching them watching. Julian and the woman he was talking to, Sophia, got a feeling. She felt really scared. How will they test the people like Sophia and her friends? We need to make sure that people see us as a couple. They will watch how the two of us interact with each other. They want to know if we really know things about each other. The couple in love needs to show affection in a way that looks real. We have to be believable as a couple that's in love. People will observe how the couple in love interacts. The couple in love has to know details about each other. She thought about her grandmother in a hospital bed, struggling to breathe with skin that looked really pale. Her grandmother Rose had taken care of Sophia after her mother passed away, giving up a lot to help Sophia have a life. Now Rose was. It was all because Sophia did not have enough money to pay for the things that could save her grandmother. "Rose, I want to know where I can sign the document. Can you please tell me where the signature part is so I can sign it? I am looking for the place where I need to put my signature on the form. Where do I sign the paper?" The wedding happened 3 days later in a chapel in upstate New York. Sophia had on a plain cream dress that Patricia bought for her, even though she did not really want to. Julian wore one of his suits that always looked great on him. There was nobody at the wedding except for the two people who had to be to make it official. They were employees from the courthouse. They looked really bored the whole time. The wedding was very quiet, with Sophia and Julian and these two people. When the person doing the wedding said, Julian and Sophia were husband and wife, Julian leaned in to kiss Sophia. The kiss was really short and not very romantic. His lips just touched Sophia's lips. Sophia felt something weird happen between Julian and Sophia. It was like a shock, a hint that there was something real between Julian and Sophia, even if everything else was not real. Welcome to the family, Mrs. Blackwood, Julian said softly right into her ear as Sophia and the others walked out of the chapel into the bright afternoon sunlight. Sophia saw a nice black car waiting for the group. It was not a taxi. It was not a rental car, but a very clean Mercedes car. The Mercedes car had a driver who was standing next to it waiting for Sophia and the others. The woman wanted to know where they were going, so she asked this question. "Where are we going?" she said. The woman was really curious about their destination. Julian said, "I want to go in a simple way." The car drove for an hour. It left the city behind. The car went through neighborhoods that got nicer and nicer. There were houses and nice lawns. Then they turned onto a road. This road was lined with big oak trees. At the end of the road was a house. This house was so big that it took Sophia's breath away. The house was a mansion. Sophia looked at the mansion. She was amazed. The mansion was really something to see. The house had 3 stories of architecture, with white columns and really big gardens that seemed to go on and on. There was a fountain in the middle of the driveway, and the water in it sparkled in the sunlight that was starting to fade. The gardens of the house were really something, with the white columns standing out against all the green. The fountain in the driveway was a nice touch it made. The whole place looked very pretty, especially with the sunlight hitting the water. The classic architecture of the house was beautiful, with its columns and big gardens that seemed to stretch on forever. "Is this really your home?" Sophia said this in a quiet voice. Julian's jaw got a little tighter. He said, "This is where we are going to live for now." The front door opened before she could think about what was happening. An elegant woman in her 50s came down the steps. The woman wore pearls and a nice Chanel suit. Her silver hair looked great in a chignon. The woman really looked nice in her Chanel suit and pearls. The woman said to Julian, "Julian, darling?" She sounded really warm and nice. "And this must be your wife, Sophia," the woman said. "It is great to meet you, Sophia." The woman was clearly happy to meet Sophia. Sophia felt really lost and alone. She looked at Julian, searched his face for something that would make sense. She wanted to know if he thought this was all weird too. Sophia wanted Julian to tell her that he felt the way that this was all very strange and not what they expected. Sophia looked at Julian, waited for him to say something about what was happening with Sophia and Julian. Julian's face was completely calm now, not showing any feelings. "All Sophia," he said quietly. "Welcome to Blackwood Manor." Sophia stood there in the entrance hall with a marble floor. She had one suitcase in her hand and it looked really tiny. The woman who was wearing a Chanel suit came up to her, gave her a big hug. It was like they had known each other for a time, but Sophia and the woman in the Chanel suit were actually complete strangers. Sophia felt a weird about the woman, the Chanel suit being so friendly. The woman said, "I am Margaret Blackwood, Julian's mother." It was a really nice smile. "We are so happy that you are going to be part of our family. Julian has told us a lot about you." Sophia looked at Julian. She was really confused. When did he tell his family about Sophia? Sophia and Julian had only met 3 days ago. Sophia said, "It is wonderful to meet you." Her voice was really quiet. She sounded unsure. Sophia thought she sounded weird to herself. Sophia was happy to meet this person. Sophia was also very nervous. Margaret put her arm through Sophia's arm, started walking with her through the big house. "I want to show you where you will be staying. I had the people who work here get the East Wing suite ready for you. The East Wing suite has a nice view of the rose garden that Sophia can see from her rooms. The rose garden is very pretty. Sophia will like the East Wing suite because of it. As Sophia went up a staircase with a fancy crystal light hanging from the ceiling, she saw pictures on the walls. There were a lot of Blackwoods in these pictures. They were all looking at her with faces that were sometimes mean and sometimes calm. The Blackwoods did not look like a family who was having a time helping a son who did something wrong. The Blackwoods looked like a family with a lot of money and power that had been around for a time. Sophia looked at the pictures of the Blackwoods. She thought about the Blackwoods and their money and power. The suite that Margaret showed her was really big. It was even bigger than Sophia's apartment. There was a sitting room that connected to a bedroom. The bedroom had a bed with silk on it. Then there was a bathroom with marble and a big old tub. The French doors went out to a balcony. From the balcony, she could see the gardens. They seemed to never end. The gardens were really something to see. Margaret's suite had a lot of things like the silk on the bed in the bedroom and the marble in the bathroom. The suite was very nice. Margaret was happy to show it to her. Margaret said to Sophia, "I will leave you to settle in." She squeezed Sophia's hand. "Dinner is at 7. We always dress up for dinner at our place. I think Julian probably told you that already, but I wanted to remind you that dinner is a time for us, and we like to dress nicely for dinner just like Julian does." The moment Margaret walked out, Sophia turned to Julian. "What is happening here? You said you were a person who changed, and you needed to show that so you could get some money that your family left you." "This is not a little bit of money, Julian. This is a house. Your mother has expensive clothes on. None of this makes sense, Julian. You told me you were trying to be good, so you could get an amount of money, but this house and your mother's clothes, they do not look like they belong to someone who only gets a small amount of money, Julian." Julian closed the door carefully before he said anything. He looked really uncomfortable. He even looked guilty. Julian said, "I know I should have told you more about it. Is there more to come?" Sophia's voice got louder, even though she was trying to stay calm. "You lied to me about everything that happened." Julian walked across the room, stood by the window. He looked out at the gardens of looking at her. "Not everything is true," Julian said. "Julian did go to prison for 3 years. That part is true. What about the rest of the story? The part about the ex-convict who's really struggling? He needs to get married to show everyone that he has really changed. Was all of that just made up the story? About the ex-convict and his marriage, was that all fiction?" Julian turned to face her. For the time since they met, she saw that he really was not okay. There was something in his face that she had never seen before. "The thing about getting married was true," he said. "My father's will said that I could not have all of my money until I was married. I had to show that I was responsible for at least 1 year. You are right. I did not tell you the truth about how money we really have. The marriage requirement was real. My father's will really did say that. I was not honest about our situation. It's about the money we have." Sophia sank onto the sofa that was covered in silk, trying to figure out this new situation. "How money do you really have?" "The family trust is worth about $200 million. My own money is a lot less. It is around $40 million. The family trust has a value, around $200 million, but my personal assets are much smaller, only around $40 million. $40 million. Sophia felt this crazy laughter coming up in her chest. She said, "And you let me worry about whether I could afford a dress for family events. You watched me get stressed about being good enough? For your family, when I'm a public school art teacher and you have a lot of money. I mean, you are really rich." Sophia felt like she could not even think about how much money you have. Julian said this in a voice. "I know what you are thinking," he said. "It looks bad. There were good reasons I did not tell you everything." Sophia stood up now. She was really angry. It was replacing the shock she felt. "Tell me now," she said. "Why did you pretend to be someone you're not? I want to know why you had to marry someone like me. You could have married anyone you wanted. I want to know the reason you went to prison. Tell me why you really went to prison," Sophia said, looking at him and waiting for an answer. "Tell me the truth about why you went to prison," Sophia said again, her voice shaking with anger. Julian was quiet for a long time. His jaw was moving like he was fighting with himself. Then he said something. "I went to prison for my brother Christopher. He was 22 years old. He made some very bad choices. He had debts from gambling. He took out fake loans, and he took money from our family company. When all of this came out, he was going to have to go to prison for 15 years. Sophia recalled the way Margaret had said hello to them. She remembered the kindness in Margaret's eyes. Margaret had told them that their mother was not aware of something. "Your mother does not know," Margaret had said. "No one knows except Christopher and me. He has a wife now. Twin daughters. Christopher has really changed his life. He is now the kind of son my parents always wanted him to be. Christopher runs a foundation. He also helps kids who are in trouble and coaches Little League." Julian's voice was full of emotion. If people found out what really happened, it would be very bad for Christopher. It would hurt his family much. My parents would be very sad if they knew that Christopher, the son they think is perfect, actually did something wrong. So Sophia said to him, "You took the blame. You told people you did things that you did not really do, so your brother would be safe." Sophia was starting to understand what really happened with the crimes, and your brother, Christopher, has always been a fragile person. He deals with anxiety disorders and depression. If he had gone to prison, it would have been really bad for him. It could have even killed him. I was stronger than him, so I knew I could survive it. I did survive it. He looked into her eyes. When I got out of prison, my father told me that I had to show him that I had changed. I had to prove that I was a person and mature enough to take care of the family legacy. Getting married was a part of proving that to him. Sophia walked to the doors and opened them. She stepped out onto the balcony. The air was really nice, cool that evening. It smelled like roses. Sophia looked down, saw gardeners taking care of the flowers. They were doing their job in a way. "Why me?" Sophia asked, without looking. "You have a lot of money. You know a lot of people. You could have married anyone you wanted. You could have married a woman who likes parties and fancy things. You could have married the daughter of someone you work with. You could have married someone from your family's social group. Someone who is used to the same things as you, like a socialite or a business partner's daughter. Someone from your own world." She heard Julian step onto the balcony behind her. He said, "I think people in my life only want to be friends with me because of who my family is. They want money or status, to know someone important. They do not really care about me. They care about the Blackwood family." Julian's voice was behind her now. "When I read about you, the Blackwood family was not what I saw. I saw a person who was doing something hard because they loved someone, not because they wanted something for themselves. I saw a woman who really cared about saving her grandmother. She did not care about what she could get from a husband. The woman's grandmother was more important to her than anything the wealthy husband could give her. She just wanted to save her grandmother." Sophia looked at him. "Said my file?" She then turned to face him. "You looked into my stuff?" Sophia asked, referring to her file. "You investigated me?" "Patricia came to us, not the way around. She found out about my situation from people we know, and she thought you would be a match for us. She told us a lot about your life, like the problems you have with money and the fact that your grandmother is sick." Julian looked really embarrassed. "I learned that you have 2 jobs, that you help out at the hospital where kids go on weekends, that you send money to Rose every month even when you do not have money to pay for your own place to live. I came across a story about a woman who always puts people first and does not expect anything from them. This woman gives everything to the people around her, asks for nothing in return. The woman is very kind, always thinks about what she can do for others. The woman gives everything to people and does not want anything from them." Sophia felt tears welling up in her eyes. She said, "You still lied to me." Sophia thought that was a bad thing for you to do to her. "You lied to Sophia. I did that. I am sorry." Julian took a step closer to her. These 3 days, everything between Julian and her has been real. The conversations they had, the way Julian feels when he is around her, that's not part of any arrangement or performance. She makes Julian want to be the man everyone thinks Julian is, than the fake person Julian knows he really is. Julian wants to be a person because of her. Sophia said this to me in a voice. She told me, "I am not a person. I gave up 3 years of my life for my brother. I said I did things that I did not really do so my family would be safe. Sophia said, "That is not a thing to do." She said, "What I did was a thing, even if it was not the best way to handle it. Sophia thinks what I did for my brother was noble." Julian said to me, "Do you think you can forgive Julian?" He looked at me. Asked, "Can you stay with Julian, knowing the truth now about Julian? We still have the contract that Julian and I signed. You can still walk away from the contract if you want to. Julian will make sure that Rose gets the care that Rose needs no matter what you decide. You do not owe Julian anything all." Sophia looked at the man who was standing in front of her. This man was still a stranger to her. Sophia felt like she knew him better now. She understood him more than people she had known for a time. The man was a person. He was. He had secrets that bothered him a lot. These secrets were like stones that he carried with him. The man was also very brave and willing to help others. He was surprisingly open and honest about his feelings. This was not what Sophia expected from him because he seemed put together on the outside. She heard herself say, "I do not want to walk." Then she said, "I need you to promise me something about us." She really meant it when she said, "I do not want to walk from you. Anything. No more lies. If we are going to make this arrangement work, if we are going to convince your family and the rest of the world that we are a couple, then we need to actually know each other. We need to know the versions of ourselves, not the faces we show to the world. We have to be honest with each other and see the person behind the fake smile. This arrangement is not going to work if we do not know the you and the real me. We have to take off the masks we wear every day and be ourselves. Then can we convince your family and the world that we are a real couple, Julian?" That changed everything about his face. He said, "I can do that starting now." Starting now. Sophia and Julian spent the hour on the balcony. The sun was setting over the gardens. They talked to each other in an honest way. This was something Sophia had never seen before. Julian told Sophia about when he was a kid. He talked about how hard it was to be a Blackwood. He said it was very lonely because people always saw him as a symbol. They did not see him as a person. Sophia told Julian about her mom. She said it was very hard when her mom died. She also talked about her relationship with Patricia. It was not a relationship. Sophia had dreams. She wanted to start a program to help kids who had been through something. This program would use art to help them feel better. The kids would be able to express what they were feeling through art. When the dinner bell rang at 7 o'clock, Julian and his companion walked downstairs together. Julian's hand found her hand, and their fingers wrapped around each other in a way. They went into the dining room, where they saw Christopher and his wife Jennifer and Julian's father. William, who's a very nice man, with silver hair and kind eyes. Julian's father, William, had a face that made people feel at ease. Julian and his companions sat down with Christopher and Jennifer and Julian's father. William, Sophia watched the Blackwood family during dinner. They really loved each other. There were also some things they did not say out loud. Sophia saw that Christopher would not look Julian in the eye. It was clear that Christopher felt guilty about something. Anyone who knew what was going on could see it on his face. Margaret was very kind to both of her sons, the Blackwood family. She did not seem to know that one of her sons had given something up for the son. The Blackwood family. William said to Sophia during dessert, "So Sophia, Julian tells us you are an art teacher. That must be great work being an art teacher and all." Sophia said, "It is. Children look at the world in an honest and imaginative way. I think it is great to teach them to express themselves through art. This way, I am helping the children hold on to something before the world tells the apt children to be practical and sensible. The children need to express themselves through art." William nodded to show he liked what was being said. "We need people who think it is important to be creative and express themselves. This family has always thought about money and how to make more of it. Maybe you will bring a way of thinking to the Blackwood family. The Blackwood legacy needs someone to think about things in a way, and you might be the one to do that." After dinner, when they got to the door, he stopped for a moment. He said, "I want to tell you something. This suite has 2 bedrooms. You will be all alone in your room. I did not expect anything from Sophia beyond what we agreed to in the contract." Sophia looked at Julian, the man she was married to. He still seemed like someone she did not know very well. She asked him, "Julian, what happened to that picture Patricia showed me?" You know, the one of the man with cheeks and empty eyes. That was taken the day I got out of prison. I had lost a lot of weight, 30 pounds. I had not slept well in 3 years. I gave this picture to my lawyer so he could use it if anyone ever asked why I needed time to get my life together. He ran his hand through his hair. I was telling the truth when I said that prison changed me. Prison takes away everything that's not real about you. You figure out who you really are when you do not have anything. Prison really strips away all the things that you pretend to be. You learn what is real about yourself when everything else is gone. Sophia looked at the person, said, "And who are you?" Julian smiled softly. "I am still trying to figure that out. When I am around you, it makes me think that I might actually like the answer when I find it about what my life is going to be like, and that is because of you being around you." Sophia and Julian did things together for weeks. They went to parties and had dinner with Julian's family. They acted like they were really in love. When they were alone, they started to really like each other. Julian showed Sophia about buying and selling art. He thought her idea of starting her program was great. Sophia helped Julian remember who he used to be before he went to prison. Sophia and Julian became friends. They liked spending time together, talking about their lives. Julian learned a lot from Sophia, and Sophia learned a lot from Julian. Sophia and Julian were happy to have found a friend in each other. 6 months had passed since they made their plan. Sophia got a call from the hospital. They told her that Rose was all better from her operation and could go home now. So when Sophia went to pick her up, she took her grandmother to Blackwood Manor. Sophia was taking Rose to Blackwood Manor to take care of her. Blackwood Manor was where Sophia and Rose would be staying together. Rose looked at the big house, then at Julian, who was standing next to Sophia, and she laughed. "This is a lot more than Patricia told me it would be. I think there is an interesting story about the mansion. The mansion looks like it has a lot of history to it." Sophia said she agreed with that. She put her hand in Julian's hand. The story is not finished yet. Sophia is still trying to figure out how the story of the movie ends. Sophia is still thinking about the movie. She does not know what happens at the end. Rose smiled in a way that showed she knew something. The best stories are the ones we write ourselves, dear. The stories that are given to us by people are not as good as the ones we come up with on our own. The stories we write ourselves. That evening, Sophia and Julian were sitting in the garden under the stars. Julian turned to Sophia. "Said our contract with the company expires in 6 months. Have you thought about what happens to Sophia and Julian?" Sophia looked at the man she had married. He was like a stranger to her. Over time, the man she had married became very important to her. She said to the man she had married, "I have." "Have you?" Julian said slowly, "I was thinking that maybe we could throw away the contract. Start over again. Not because we have some kind of deal, because we are two people who really want to be with each other. We choose each other because that is what we want, not because the contract says we have to. The contract is not the reason we're together. Being with each other is what we actually want to do, and that is what matters." Sophia's heart was beating fast. She looked at Julian Blackwood. Said, "Are you really asking me to marry you, Julian Blackwood?" He said, "I am." Then he pulled out a box made of velvet from his pocket. The box had a nice ring in it. This ring was much nicer than a platinum band. It had a design with a blue sapphire stone and diamonds all around it. He said this ring belonged to my grandmother. She had told him to keep it for someone. This person had to know him, not just know that he is a Blackwood with a lot of money. He looked at the person. Said, "You are the only one who really gets me, who really sees me as I am, not just as a Blackwood." Sophia started to cry. Tears fell down her face. She looked at the ring. Then she looked at Julian. She said, "Yes, I will do it. Yes, 1,000 times I will say yes to this." When the man and the woman kissed, it was not like the kiss they had at their courthouse wedding. This kiss was real. It was full of passion. The kiss was filled with the promise of a future that the man and the woman would build together. They would build this future on being honest with each other, not on lying to each other. The man and the woman would have a marriage. A marriage built on honesty. Patricia found out that Sophia had really won the heart of a rich young man who lived on the East Coast. Patricia tried to say that she was the one who made this happen. Sophia just smiled and said thank you to her stepmother. Sophia told her stepmother that she had given her the thing that had ever happened to her, even though that was not what her stepmother had intended to do. Sophia was very happy. She gave credit to Sophia's own efforts, not to Patricia. Patricia was trying to take credit for something that Sophia had done on her own. Sophia had caught the heart of this young man, and Patricia was just trying to get some of the attention for herself. Year after Sophia and Julian got married at the courthouse, they did it again at Blackwood Manor. They renewed their vows in the rose garden. Sophia and Julian were surrounded by people they really cared about, like friends and family. Rose was sitting in the front row looking happy and healthy. She was crying a little. Used a handkerchief to wipe away her tears. Sophia and Julian were very happy to have Rose with them. Sophia walked down the aisle in a dress she had picked out herself. She looked at Julian, saw that he was feeling the same amazing feelings that she was feeling. They had started out as people who did not know each other. They were together because they had to be. Now Sophia and Julian were together because they wanted to be. They had become Sophia and Julian a team because they had chosen to be. The reluctant bride had found her fortune all. It was not about having a lot of money or living in houses. She had found something better. The reluctant bride had found a love that was real. This love was built on being honest with each other. The reluctant bride and her love had to make sacrifices for each other. They also had to be brave enough to look past the faces people show to the world. The reluctant bride and her love had to see the person inside, and in the end, that was worth more than any inheritance could ever be. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this story. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to hit like, share this story with your friends and family, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more meaningful stories.